afternoon. Today is Thursday, December 7th, a day that will go down in infamy. Jim's watching more movies all day long. But we have one birthday today, and I'm going to say your name right, Diane. I always say it wrong every year, but this year I'm going to say it right. Diane Dravisky, Draveski. I always put an N in there, so I remembered this year not to put the N in there. So Diane, happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Diane. Happy birthday to you. Cha-cha-cha. Well, I hope you have a great birthday. I gotta get my snowman in there. Oh, I've had a day. Let me tell you, I've had a day. Well, Denise is moving officially. She thought she had to be out of the house by midnight tonight, but Denise's agent called the other agent and asked if she could have one more day, thankfully. So I look a hot mess because I've been over at Denise's house most of the morning helping her pack up her kitchen. It's kind of hard to pack up your kitchen when you're still living there, you know? So I packed up her kitchen, and then Gary got home from work and he looked exhausted. So I called my grandson David and I said, David, do you think you could go help Gary? Because he just looks like he's going to collapse. And so he said, yeah, sure. He says, I'll bring my friend Phoenix. So David and his friend went over there to help Gary. Kylie was helping before, but she went to school today, so she wasn't able to help. And then she's taking a nap now. But so I'm tired. I am tired. It's just I didn't go to my Weight Watchers meeting because I stayed home to help Denise pack up her kitchen. So I was there for a couple hours. Then I came home and I had to make my desserts because we're having family dinner tonight and we're decorating cookies. So I had to come home and do that. I made a salad for dinner. I think I'm going to have a salad now. I haven't eaten anything yet. I had a quarter of a cookie. Denise bought a cookie from BJ's, a chocolate chip cookie, and I ate maybe a quarter of it. And I had a bottle of water. And then I've just been busy since I got home. I rearranged my utensils drawers. They were just a hot mess. They were like, I see this one thing on Facebook. It says everybody has that one potato masher that they keep in their drawer just so it'll jam the drawer up and you can't open it. That's me. I got that. So my drawers are just getting ridiculous. So I went and I bought a couple more silverware trays and reorganized both of my drawers. And so it looks so pretty now. Just if it can stay that way. That's the trick, is having it stay that way. So I got that all done. Made the salad for dinner. Made the dessert. Set the tables. And then Samantha's gluten-free, and I know I had some gluten-free noodles in there from the last, because we're having spaghetti for dinner, and I thought, I know I had them in there from last time, but I rearranged my cupboards too, because I wanted to give Denise her own cupboard so she could have her food for, she's going to be here a month, so it'd be easier for her rather than going up, because she's going to stay in the basement, so it's rather than going up and down from the basement. I cleared out my pantry and reorganized I have two pantries, and so I reorganized it so I could fit everything in, and so I got that all cleared up, but then I couldn't find the noodles, and I thought, I know I got those noodles, and so tore the whole thing apart, and you know what, the last shelf I looked at, way in the back, there they were, so I got that all taken care of. When I get done talking here, I'm going to go make my sauce. The Wemo, I was just so flabbergasted by trying to set, that's my timer plug. So I started to, I do it yesterday a couple times. I couldn't do it. Finally this morning, I thought I'll give it one more shot. And I did it, and it accepted it, and it was like everything was perfect, and it said it was, I named it and everything. And then I go on my Wemo app, it's nowhere to be found. So then I go on my Google Home, nowhere to be found. I thought, so then I go on this other one, the Home Network, and because there's too many apps. There's just too many apps for too many things. It drives me insane. So I found it in the Home app, but then it wouldn't let me program it. So I broke down and called Wemo and talked to somebody, very nice lady. I had a hard time understanding her though. Oh, her English was so broken. It was really difficult on both ends because she was having a hard time understanding me and I was having a hard time understanding her. But we finally figured it out. And I can't add that particular device because the devices I have are old Wemos and now they have new Wemos, and so they're not compatible with the same network. So I have to have some of them programmed on the Wemo app, and then some of them this one programmed on my Home app. So then I tried to program it on my home app, and I can't. I can turn it on and off, but I can't program it to turn on automatically. I have to manually turn it on and off, which defeats the purpose of a timer plug, in my opinion. So I thought, walk away, Sandy. So that's what I just do nowadays. Is if things get too exasperating, I just walk away. Like my memory issues. If I get upset about them, it's just going to make it worse, and it's not going to change the fact that I can't remember what I'm trying to remember. So I just accept it's part of getting old. My brain cells are not popping as brilliantly as they were before. Not that they ever were brilliant, but you know what I mean. They're a little slow. They need a little jump start every once in a while. So I'm thinking if I get all upset about it, it's just going to drive me crazy. I do have a problem. I do worry about the fact that when I was 10 or 11, that my mother always said, never ride two on a bike. It's dangerous. Don't ride two on a bike. Don't ride two on a bike. You're going to get hurt. And blah, blah, blah. I was with my friends, Mary Kay and Sydney, and we were going somewhere, and we only had one bike, because my bike had a flat tire and Sydney's bike was just in disarray. Her sister had it, I think. I think her sister took her bike. Cindy had 8 brothers and sisters. And her one brother, Ricky, who I really, really liked, he was so nice, and he really loved me. He really liked me a lot, but he was a year younger than me, and I was like a snob, and I'm thinking, I can't go with a boy that's a year younger than me. How silly. How silly. I ended up dating Jim, and Jim's a year older than me, so he went with somebody a year younger. Anyway, so we were going somewhere, and we wanted to take the bike. We were taking Sue's bike, and we thought, let's just go 3 on a bike. So Sue sat on the seat, and then and remember on the olden bikes that they had that little shelf thing, I don't know what it's called, over the fender that you could sit on? And so Sydney sat on that, and I got up on the handlebars, and we were going our merry way. We were doing fine, and then Sue decided that she was going to jump up a curb, because we did that all the time, but that was just when we were 1 on a bike, not 3 on a bike, not even 2 on a bike. You can't even do that. So she went to jump the curb, and obviously she didn't do it. And I went flying, and I hit my head on the curb and knocked myself out. And they were like panic stricken. And so they had to run home and get my mom. My mom had to run down the street to get my Uncle Leonard. My Uncle Leonard came to get me. I don't remember any of this. It's just something that people told me. And then my Uncle Leonard carried me home. And I think I was unconscious for a while, because my mother called the doctor, Dr. Kerber. That was our family doctor, who came to the house. Remember those days when the doctors used to come to the house? And by then I was coming to. And I had to go to the hospital and have x-rays and all that. My mother was like beside herself, because that was something she couldn't do. I told you she always took her stitches out. She always bandaged her arms up and said, that'll be fine, until it became evident that it was a broken arm and needed a cast or something. But so my mother, I don't know how she went through. My mother went through so many things. I'm telling you, I don't know how she survived. I really don't. But so the doctor, when they did the neurologist, I started having convulsions. I had convulsions until I was like 23 or 24. They didn't know if I was a borderline epileptic or if it was due to the head injury. So they did tell me that when I got older that I probably would have memory issues, and I might go senile. Back then they didn't call it Alzheimer's. They said you might go senile, just to keep my brain active as much as I could. So that's what I try to do. So that's why I don't really get overly upset, because if I keep dwelling on that fact that the doctor told me that so many years ago, I'm thinking that'll be even worse for me, and so I don't want to do that. But my mother, let me tell you, a saint, a nurse, a doctor, whatever you want to call it. She had 6 kids. I was the oldest. I was born in 1950. Denise was born in 1960. She lost one in 1959, so she would have had 7 kids. But Susie, I'll start with me. I had hit my head, knocked myself out. I did that once. I had convulsions, so my mother had to, I remember I fell out of the top bunk of the bunk bed, and I remember my mother grabbing me by my feet and dragging me into the kitchen, because that's where the phone was, and calling my Aunt Rose, who lived down the street. So she came to get us to bring us to the hospital. I stepped on a broken glass and split my foot. Just split my foot. My mother tried to sew it herself. I was screaming the whole time, so she finally brought me to the hospital. But, my mother took those stitches out. She says, I paid to put them in. I can take them out myself. So that was with me. My brother Michael broke his arm. When he was born, he was breech, and so he broke his shoulder. So when he was born, he was in a cast. I think she took him to the doctors to get the cast off, but I don't know because I was only 2. But I wouldn't be surprised if my mother took that cast off herself. I'm trying to think what else Mike did. I know that he broke his shoulder when he was a baby. I know that he fell and cut his head, so she had to bring him for stitches for that. I know he broke his hand, so she had to do that. Susie drank dish soap from under the sink, so she had to go and get her stomach pumped. My mother couldn't do that. Mary. Pat. We'll start with Pat. Pat did everything. Pat put his head through the door and had to get stitches in his head because he was running. He tripped on the step, and then he fell into the storm and went through the storm, and so big old scratch on his head. So Pat did that. He fell down the steps, knocked himself out into the basement. My mother had learned from me that you just put some ice on it and it'll go away. Mary's a trip in herself. Mary set our house on fire. Mary also took a saw on a dare from my brother Pat and sawed her tongue in half. Like right in half. She put the saw in her mouth and just slid it down and split her tongue right in half. Blood everywhere. I remember that. There was blood gushing everywhere. Obviously, my mother called the ambulance and she went to the hospital for that. What else did Mary do? Mary was swinging a bat and she hit the lamp post and the lamp came down, hit in her hand, and she cut her hand open. So we had a lot of stitches in our family. Denise was the worst as far as scariness. Denise was across the street at Mrs. Samaro's house, and it was Michael's birthday. Another Michael in the neighborhood, and they were running and playing, and she was holding the door open. Somebody was holding the door open for her, and she was running, and then they slammed the door shut, and she went like that, and she's got scars on both of her wrists. So like on Beetlejuice, when they always go, if I knew what I knew now, I wouldn't have had my little accident. We always do that with Denise because it looks like she tried to commit suicide because she slashed both of her wrists, and Mrs. Samaro was so panicked in that, so she had her submerged her hands in cold water in the sink because she thought that was all it would be. She cut arteries, is what she did. And so then my sister Mary was so panicked, she went home and got my mother. My mother came home, they wrapped up all her things with towels. My mother put like a tourniquet. I'm telling you, my mother learned a lot. She put a tourniquet on it. They called the police. Her name was Nancy Samaro. Her husband was a police officer, and he had just got home. And so he took him right with his police car, took him to the hospital. So he got there fast. We put my mother through hell. I'm telling you. Mary set the house on fire. She was playing with matches and she set the house on fire. My mother, she had this beautiful mirror, special ordered for over the mantle. And it had like those little, they had like screws to hold it onto the wall. And then it had like little caps that you put on the thing to hold the screws so you don't see the screws. And Mary thought that she'd help her, and she thought she'd tighten the screw, and then the screw went, and it went and cracked the mirror. So Mary was panicked. So she found this big picture, and she leaned it up against the crack, hoping my mother would never see it. Like she never thought my mother was ever going to clean the mirror. Obviously, my mother saw it. She was upset about that. And then my mother had this really nice, and she said, I never can have nothing nice because of you kids. I can never have nothing nice. She had this nice little zodiac. It was a zodiac table. It had all the signs of the Aquarius and Pisces and, Capricorn, all of them. And it had these little shot glasses that sat on it that my father got her when they went to Las Vegas on a convention. And so she had that sitting in front of the fireplace, and we were not allowed to go anywhere near it. And we were horsing around. Don't play ball. Mom always said, don't play ball in the house. We were playing ball in the house, and we knocked it over and chipped it. My mother actually cried. We all felt so bad. My mother was actually crying because that was like her only prized possession that she wanted to have. And I think back of all the crap that we put my mother through, and it was like, she was a saint. I mean, we had, like our furniture was not the best furniture. It was like hand-me-down furniture. Back then there was no insurance, so as soon as my mother had a kid and paid it off, we had another kid and she had to pay that one off. And so we just had like odds and ends. Nothing ever matched. Nothing was really nice. And this was the only really, I mean, not that our house was like a, crap hole or anything like that. I mean, it was just, you know what I mean? It was all hand-me-down furniture. And this was just one thing that my mother just really, really prized. And this was really something she was so proud of. And we broke it. It was like, I can't believe we did that. It was just, I know, we got away with it. We did so much crap. I'm telling you, we would be jumping on the bed. We were jumping on the bed upstairs and jumping from one bed to the next, to the next, to the next, because the girls all slept upstairs and we had double beds. We each had a double bed, 4 double beds upstairs. And we would jump from bed to bed to bed. And Mary, once again, jumped, and then she was jumping, lost her balance, fell back, and her butt went right through the wall, right through the drywall. Big old butthole in the drywall. So we had to rearrange the room because only one bed had a headboard. So we rearranged the room so the headboard would cover the hole in the wall. Took a while for my mother to find that out. I don't know. My mother was a saint. I'm telling you, my mother was a saint. It's just, but we always went, every year we went on vacation. We went up to the cottage every year without fail. My father would bring us up on a Friday night and drop us off, and he'd come back and pick us up the following Sunday night and bring us home. We never saw my dad that whole week, and we just had a ball. We just had so much fun. And we had hardly any, like, meat. We didn't have meals. We had sandwiches mostly, but we were at the lake. We were having a ball. And then the one year we went on, when the house burnt down and we had to live at different families, on Sundays my parents would pick us all up and we would go to like the Belle Isle or, some kind of park and have a picnic so we could all be together for a meal that was just sandwiches. But it was like we were together because for like almost 6 weeks, I think it was 6 or 8 weeks, we were not together, only on Sundays. That was the only time we were together. My mother had Pat, Mary, and Denise because they were all little. Pat was 3, Mary was 2, and Denise was just a baby. But I went somewhere, Mike went somewhere, Sue went somewhere. So we didn't see each other. But if you know what, I wouldn't trade my childhood for anything in the world. I really wouldn't. I had so much fun. My parents made do with the little bit that they had. We were never deprived. I got Christmas presents every year. I got a birthday present. I got to pick my meal. I got to have my day. I told you that was our day. You were queen for the day or king for the day. You could get up and we would get up early and make everybody wait on us hand and foot. We got to pick whatever meal we wanted. My mother would always ask us a month ahead of time what we wanted, and we got it. We just got it. Who knows? We had a lot of hot dogs. That's probably why I don't eat hot dogs nowadays, because we had so many hot dogs. And everybody had a birthday. Mary's was in January. Pat's was in February. Denise's was in March. My mother's was in August. Mine and my dad's was in September. Mike's was in November. So, and Susie's was in December, the day after Christmas. We were never allowed to wrap Susie's presents in Christmas paper. It always had to be, well, we used comics. We never had wrapping paper. Oh my gosh. What do you think? We're rich? What do you think? We're Richie Rich? We're going to have wrapping paper? Pshaw. The only time we had wrapping paper was on Christmas because Santa brought the presents and he's not going to put them in crappy old comic book paper. But we always had a gift and we always got to have what we wanted. So I can never complain about my life. And so nowadays when people expect so much, it just kind of, Jim and I got married. We didn't have anything. We didn't. Jim didn't have a job. I was working part-time as a cashier at a fruit market. We bought the bed with our wedding money. We had TV tray tables for our nightstands, the lamps that Jim made in 7th grade shop, the TV I got for my 16th birthday. We paid $100 for a used stove and refrigerator, and we got a card table and chairs for a shower gift, and we used that as our kitchen table. And then we had the basement furniture from Jim's parents. And you know what? I had a ball. I think that's probably why, like my whole life, when I wanted something, I just went and got it. And it's just paid the piper, paid all that interest and everything afterwards. But I'm not complaining because I had a good life. I have a good life. I really have a good life. So my kids are coming over tonight for dinner. Like I said, the grandkids are coming over. We're going to decorate cookies. So I'll show that. That's going to be the Christmas memory for today. It's not going to be a memory from somebody else. And then tomorrow I'll do Dale's memory. And what else was I going to say? I was going to say something else, but I think that's it. Yeah, I've babbled on too long already. So it's an adjustment with Denise and Gary and Kylie here, but it's manageable. It's just, like we're just used to our own ways. Kind of worse for them because they don't have their furniture to be comfortable in. They have to contend with my furniture. But once again, better than no furniture. There's people out there that don't have anything, so. But that's going to do it. I'm not even going to show you what I had to eat because I just had like not even a quarter of a cookie, if that. But they're a big cookie. Those big cookies you get from BJ's. I had maybe a quarter of it, so that wasn't too bad. I mean, it was bad, but... And then, like I said, I didn't go to the meeting, so I don't know. I did weigh myself this morning, and it looks like I gained a half a pound on my scale. So, half a pound wasn't too bad. And we did get the French fries taken off our meal yesterday. They did take it off. But I'll never go back to that restaurant. It's just... I don't even think Jim tipped her, to be honest with you, because she was that bad. But, okay, that's going to do it. Talk to you soon. No, I'm not going to talk. Well, I'll show you the rest of the family. How's that sound? And I'll talk to you tomorrow. Like, comment, subscribe, and share. Happy Vlogmas. Okay. Got the bright light on, everybody. Oh, God. Got the bright light on you, Sebastian. Everybody lined up to go eat. Some people have already eaten or gotten their food.
What is those? We are enemies.
Oh, he's singing Doja Cat.
We go way back.
I'm filming you, just so you know.
Oh.
Gotta look up. You're so serious there.